Hey guys, welcome to the Source Gaming Discussion. I am your host, Epic Martin 7, and today I am joined by the article team leader, Spazzy.
Hey.
And the article team contributor, LIQUID12A.
Hi, again.
And today we're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch's online service and what we think about it after the recent news that came out from the January 13th event, and sort of before that with all the NX discussion. So I think one of the first things we're going to kind of cover today is that Nintendo, albeit they're 10 years late, essentially, they finally have a unified account system with Nintendo accounts. It's kind of like a bridge between Nintendo Network ID, your social media. So, Liquid, what are your thoughts on Nintendo finally getting into the quote-unquote mainstream with their account system?
It's as far as I'm concerned, it was something that was going to happen eventually. The Xbox did it, then PlayStation did it. It seems logical that Nintendo would follow suit at some point. It was just a matter of time. But, Nintendo has been kind of odd with the internet for so long, so I'm really not surprised that it took this amount of time to happen.
What are your thoughts, Spazzy?
It's kind of just the industry standard at this point, so you would think that Nintendo would eventually have to do it. It's, almost ironic that Nintendo is finally going to use a unified system when they're, debuting a system that could theoretically replace both their handheld and their home consoles. They didn't have a unified system back when they were, continuously running two different types of consoles. But I guess mobile kind of takes some of that too, and we've already seen it integrated very heavily into mobile, into what we've seen so far with Miitomo and Fire Emblem Heroes and Super Mario Run. So it had to happen.
Right, it had to happen. A lot of people were crying to have that for the Wii and 3DS for years, because I think it was mainly due to the prospect of cross-buy, which they kind of hastily implemented, but they didn't really do it for like first party titles. And then I don't
know how many times Nintendo expects me to buy Super Mario Brothers 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why people wanted a unified account system on the Wii and 3DS, was to not pay for the virtual console anymore. And that is a legitimate complaint, because it's kind of getting tiresome to buy Super Mario Brothers for like the 15th time. That game, you could originally buy on the Wii Virtual Console, and then you had to have a transfer fee, and then you have to buy it again for the 3DS. It was all hastily implemented.
Right, and then I have it on my NES Classic. I don't I have my original cartridge around here somewhere.
Yeah, you have like a million different versions of Super Mario Brothers, but you have to pay for it over and over again. It's kind of like, okay, stop milking me, Nintendo, please. That's a little uncomfortable. But at this point, I think they're going somewhat of the right direction with their unified account system, but the only thing that's bothersome is the Eurogamer rumor that came out, I think back in December, where they talked about GameCube Virtual Console and that we have to upgrade again for existing Virtual Console, and it's like they're taking one step forward but two steps back. Again,
Yeah.
we thought they would have learned by now, like, okay, I like Super Mario Brothers, but I don't want to pay, out the wazoo again for it. I get that they value their IPs, but at this point, these games are starting to get older and older. So, it's just, it's like,
right, which I guess leads to, when you're talking about the value of the IP, and I know we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but the fact that Nintendo is going to offer just, one NES or SNES game to rent for a month as part of their service.
Right, since in a pseudo vein to PlayStation Plus and, the Xbox One's Xbox Live.
It's games with gold.
Yep, that's essentially what they're doing. Except I think, of course, I'm gonna flat out say this. I'm not trying to bash Nintendo's online policies that much, but apparently you'll only be able to have the game for a month and not keep it until your subscription expires, like how PlayStation Plus does it. Like, if I'm gonna download a game that Nintendo offers for free, I should at least be able to keep it until,
Yeah, Xbox games with gold actually is a step above that. You get 4 games a month if you have an Xbox One. 2 Xbox One games that function the same as the PlayStation service, in that you keep them until your Xbox Live is off. If you get rid of Xbox Live, you can no longer use them. Right. But they also give you 2 Xbox 360 games that are guaranteed backwards compatible, and those are yours to keep no matter what. So even if you no longer use it, they just give you those games.
Right. I mean, it feels like more of a rental service than anything else.
And if they were going to do something like that, it would make sense to, if Nintendo like really upped the price and offered a premium version of this, but made it kind of like a Netflix for Virtual Console, where they would offer like 10 Super Nintendo and 10 Nintendo games every month and like switch them out, but you're paying, literally, I'd pay like $12 a month for a service like that. Easy.
I mean, exactly, because Nintendo, I think they're kind of hiding the fact that it's not exactly quote unquote a digital rental kind of thing. Like, I don't like when companies mask it as being a digital rental, not being a digital rental thing, because they're trying to perceive it as, oh, you get to keep this game, yet you only get to keep it for a month, and that kind of has the effects of a digital rental store.
Right, and I don't know what they think the value, I don't know what games are going to offer, but I mean, you're going to put like Ice Climbers or Balloon Fight or something out there for a month and think that has any significant value when it's a game that we've played over and over again? When the NES Classic, anyone who owns that probably has every one of the NES games are going to offer you, because I'd imagine most of them are going to be first party as well. I could see some of Nintendo's closer third parties, just offering things from time to time. Nintendo might have something with Capcom or Konami, Namco, basically anybody that was, once again, on the NES Classic, those companies. But for the most part, it just doesn't seem like there's too much value added to that. How many sales are they really going to lose at this point if they offer Donkey Kong Jr. and they're like, oh, you can just keep Donkey Kong Jr. And it could even be like PlayStation Plus, where it's like you could keep Donkey Kong Jr. as long as you keep our online service.
Nah, it's got to be Donkey Kong Jr. math. Come on, man, that's obviously more valuable.
I mean, that's I'm being serious. So like, what are like what's like how many sales are they going to lose? They've already sold that so many times on so many different platforms. And it would be nice, we're not even asking for, like eShop titles or for, like a download of the Wii Virtual Console version of Xenoblade, which, by the way, is the sort of thing that would be completely reasonable, I feel like, if they would give us like Wii games, like Wii Punch-Out, a Virtual Console style version of it. That'd be fine. But I mean, we're splitting hairs here. It's not the same sort of entity as what we have with PlayStation, with Xbox. But I almost feel like it should be like a nice little bonus, but it would almost look better if they didn't offer anything, because what they're offering now is so small that it looks bad in comparison.
Definitely. What do you think, Liquid?
To play devil's advocate a bit, I mean, I fully agree that just one game a month and you only get to choose between SNES or NES game, it's kind of bad, but at the same time, those are games that you really shouldn't take that long to finish. Yeah, I'd rather keep them. In fact, I'd probably pitch an idea like, kind of like how GameFly works, such as, you want to keep this game? We'll give it to you for a discounted price. Something like that. But at the same time, it's games that you're probably not going to keep for long. I mean, there's someone out there who's going to want to keep something like, I don't know, Super Metroid if they offered it. But the issue is length here. They're giving it to you a month because they're not expecting you to play it for a month. That's kind of what I've been thinking ever since that little tidbit of info dropped.
I mean, it'd be nice if they gave us at least a choice between a few games a month, because once again, like, if they're all like, hey, you want Urban Champ this month? I'll be like, no one wants Urban Champ. You know why? Because you play Urban Champ for 3 minutes and then you realize, oh, hey, this is Urban Champ. It's not actually a fun game. So
pretty much. I mean, Nintendo, I think, sometimes has goggles on when it comes to the value of some of their old games. I mean, I'm not gonna, obviously go off topic on this, but they're, expecting people to flock to Urban Champion or Ice Climber, and it's like, those are classic games, but I don't think a lot of people remember them as much as, Mario or Kirby or, Donkey Kong, at least, Even though Donkey Kong is about as old as those games, or even older, people still flock to that game, and, I think this kind of goes into one of my points. They're trying to use the fact that they're adding online play to these games to entice people. And from what we've heard, online play is only going to be exclusive to the games that Nintendo gives for free, because they, quote-unquote, won't have a lot of people playing other VC games online. Which, I mean, if you look at it from a business perspective, can understand that, okay, it's going to be too much to man these servers that barely have any people on there. But from the end user, it's kind of redundant, because why are you adding, functionality, good functionality to only a limited amount of games when that potential could be, maximized? I mean, of course, one of our Source Gaming members, kind of Eats Pants, said, he wanted Melee with online, and generally speaking, if they did GameCube Online or Wii Online again, that would entice a lot of people to pick up these old classic games, because, a lot of people, there's a lot of multiplayer titles, on these older systems. Nintendo is heavily about multiplayer gaming. If they can enable online functionality for these games, it's gonna change the game drastically, in a sense. I mean, of course, emulators have been doing this for, umpteen, years, but if Nintendo can do this officially without any hassle for the general consumer, it would definitely, change things up a bit.
Also, I mean, you have to realize that what they're saying there too is that, hey, if we give out, let's say Contra, and it has online functionality, well, everyone will be playing it for this month, because that's the only thing that people have an option of playing. So you'll get a lot of people, involved in that. But that brings up something else. I just brought up Contra. The best co-op games on both the Super Nintendo and Nintendo were not first party. I mean, They just weren't.
Yeah.
Like, can you think of any, like, really... I mean, maybe you guys can help me out. Can you think of any good first party co-op games from Nintendo just on the NES? Like, you can even go look through the NES Classic. The original Mario Brothers, Ice Climbers, I just had Balloon Fight. Balloon Fight has a fun multiplayer, I guess, but yeah, it's Sight Bike, but it's not the ones that grab you. It's not the ones that, you just spend hours, like, playing, what I did as a kid going through. And when it comes to Super Nintendo, like, a lot of them are just all those old beat 'em ups. You think of the Final Fight style. Although the first Final Fight on the Super Nintendo didn't even have couch co-op. But anyways, those sort of beat 'em up games that were, ports or sequels to arcade games were the ones that I feel like you played a lot of as well. And once again, Contra 3 was awesome. There's a lot of games that you could, but I feel like the majority of them aren't Nintendo games, so it'll be interesting. I think we really need more information on what this is going to be.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see how Nintendo elaborates on this. I mean, of course, they could always change in the future when they make their full online service. I mean, I think in general, this trial period for Nintendo is going to be kind of a test, because if people can get the most out of online till fall of 2017, and they don't really see a spike of users that are paying for it, then I could see them going back and kind of changing things to, please the user base. I mean, Nintendo is a company that's kind of in a bubble, in a sense. Like, they give fans what they think they want, but, it's the complete opposite. And I think them, making this trial period is definitely or at least quote unquote, hopefully open their eyes and, you know.
I don't know if it's really that this is kind of the soft launch and the real launch is in the holidays, but I feel like the holidays is what matters for them.
Yup.
And that they know that there's going to be early adopters, and they are kind of using all of us Nintendo fans as kind of the beta testers for everything to make sure their system works and to get good word of mouth out there and all sorts of stuff. And we won't make too many units. It'll be sold out most of the time. It'll look good. And then we'll ramp it up, and we'll have a great library come Christmas, and we'll have online that works and all sorts of things. We should, probably move on to the next topic. But I will say that I feel like if Nintendo offered like maybe just 4 different Virtual Console games with online, like it would look better if there were more. But
yeah, definitely. I mean, there was a lot of NES games that use the or third-party NES games that use the 4-score adapter for the NES, and that would be fun to play online.
Super Dodgeball.
I mean, possibly they could also possibly expand this whole idea to other consoles. My kind of niche wish for this whole Virtual Console games with online thing is that maybe they include the Nintendo DS. I mean, the Nintendo DS has some great multiplayer titles out there. I mean, just to throw my bias into the forefront, Metroid Prime Hunters, I mean, that's on the Wii U Virtual Console and it has no multiplayer. It's kind of like a match made in heaven. But it's such a good idea, and I'm kind of expecting Nintendo not to do it, honestly.
Well,
but
I mean,
it's a great idea.
There's no dual screen in handheld mode, unless they let you do it in portrait mode, which I don't think we've heard of, and there's no way to connect the Switch controllers that way.
I mean, they could probably just do it like the Wii U did. The Wii U gamepad had several options for displaying the touchscreen on the gamepad, the upper screen on the TV, something like that they could feasibly do with the Switch. So I'm kind of hoping that they're smart enough to implement something like that, because there's a goldmine of titles that they could take from the DS and upgrade with this re-added multiplayer thing. That's the way I see it.
Just imagine playing Mario Kart DS with snaking again.
Yes.
I can imagine. I fully expect within the first 6 months one of the games with online to be the Super Nintendo version of Mario Kart.
Yeah, I think that's a sure bet. Definitely. Mario Kart is definitely one of Nintendo's most prized possessions when it comes to IPs. So they would probably, I would actually think launch of the online service might have Mario Kart at the start. It's that big of a title.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And that way they could still launch with Mario Kart, because Deluxe won't be out for another month.
Yeah, true. So let's switch topics just a little bit, and I wanted to bring up an interesting tweet from Dr. Sirkin Toto. He made I think a couple days ago. He said that Kimishima told Nike that the Switch's online service would be priced at 2,000 to 3,000 yen, or converted to American dollars, it would be $17.50 to $26.50 yearly, which means that unlike their competitors, Microsoft and Sony, it's not going to be a full $60 every year. So what do you guys think about this? Or at least Liquid, what do you think about this price?
I mean, as someone who's been playing with free online services for years, and barring some time on the Xbox, I've used PlayStation Network Online for years, the Nintendo's Online for years, and I mean, on paper, I really, really like this price because, I mean, think about it. Someone who probably doesn't have that much money, someone who doesn't have a job but still wants to play online, just as an example, I mean, this price is very, very accessible. I mean, sure, some aspects are going to be gutted, as we'll get into later, but as far as I see it, I like this price, and I'm perfectly okay with paying online at that price range. Personally, yes.
Yeah,
So,
I don't mind paying $2 or and change a month or whatever it's gonna end up being.
Yeah, it seems Nintendo is going for a more modest approach when it comes to its online pricing. I mean, with Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, they charge while they may charge more, they actually provide some more services for their console. While Nintendo, we haven't really seen a lot of what PlayStation Network or Xbox Live is doing in terms of, we're getting like some digital game downloads like we covered previously, but of course those aren't going to stick. Unlike the other services, they tend to, stick on your console until subscription's up, and they're not, it doesn't seem as fleshed out. Maybe we could give it a couple years and they could flesh things out, but I think if they're going for a light-hearted online service with a couple bonuses, I think this price is pretty good.
I'm more worried about how exactly friend lists and everything are gonna really integrate. Because have we even heard that you can have, I guess, private just friend chats over different games using their service, or just simple things that have been around for 10 years now, pretty much since the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. That's more what I'm worried about. I know the free games, but if I get a good online service, that's all I really care about, and that's definitely worth $20 to $30 a year, I think, personally.
Yeah, I know Nintendo said that they're going to have integration with social media platforms such as, Facebook and Twitter, and that you might be able to, friend request, through those social media services. So it kind of makes me think that they might be going towards externally using different social media platforms instead of making not like a Miiverse quote-unquote clone, but more of a hub like PSN and Xbox Live. So, we don't have the full details on that, so I can't, personally for me, I can't really judge until I hear more information, but I don't know, it's, we're like, I think 27 days till launch, and we still don't know this stuff, so it makes me hope that we get a direct of some sort, but who knows at this point.
I'm sure we're going to get something for features, at least, some sort of direct, because we know so little right now.
Yeah.
And they don't want to launch without people really understanding what it is that they're going to buy. I think I heard somewhere that, like, for Splatoon, if you add people to your friends list, there's talking in the lobby, and talking to people that are in different matches and on different sides, but only if they're on your friend list. There's still just no, like, randomly dumping you into the game chat so you can just randomly talk to whoever else you're playing with.
Yeah.
Yeah, has that been confirmed? I don't recall where I read that.
I haven't read anything about it yet, so I'm not going to make any assumptions.
Okay, yeah. I thought I heard that somewhere. Okay.
Same here. It sounds familiar, but I'll have to go back.
It sounds like something Nintendo would do.
Yeah.
Yes.
That kind of gives us the perfect segue, because recently they announced that, the Switch would obviously have voice chat similar to other platforms, and, that's something, other consoles have been doing for, up teen years. But the thing that makes this, like, mind-boggling the most is that they're gonna have this go through a smartphone app. Like, if you have your Switch docked to the TV, there's no, they don't have the Pro Controller doesn't have a headphone jack, so their quote-unquote move is to have you get your smartphone and plug in headphones to chat with your friends, and that's, to a lot of people, including myself, that's a weird way of making a solution to that problem, but there's a lot of hurdles they're gonna have to go through to make that at least work. Because, before this discussion, obviously, Spazzy, you have a lot to say about this, so I'm gonna allow you to, go through and lay down your thoughts.
I honestly don't have that much to say. There are actually some other members of staff that I think were a little more passionate, maybe a little distraught about this. I know Connor Eight Pants was one of them. Soma as well was a little confused on how a lot of this would work. It just seems strange. It seems like something else that you have to have near you. They're like, everyone always has their cell phone with them. I'm like, yeah, but do I need to have my cell phone like tied down like next to me with like headphones hooked up to it while I'm playing the game?
Yeah.
It needs to sync up to the game. If not, there's no point.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And the other thing that I was wondering is, so Nintendo expects us to listen to voice chat with our headphones while we're playing the game. Are they gonna stream the audio from the game to the phone? Because if not, what am I gonna have like headphones on and not be able to hear like game music and game audio and what's going on in the game? Or am I supposed to put like one headphone in? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Not to mention, like, is there going to be any lag with if they do that? You know, if they stream audio, is there going to be some sort of lag delay with the audio? I
don't know. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. It just seems like a really kind of, I want to say, half-assed solution that it's just to this issue. It's like, oh, everyone has cell phones on them. Like, not really. It's so much more convenient to have everything all in one. I mean, I understand that I usually do have my cell phone near me. And I mean, I guess at the end of the day, if it provides a good system, if it, has good lobbies, has good integration within the game itself, then it's not a huge deal. But it's definitely not the preferred option as far as I'm concerned. I don't know. What do you think, Liquid?
Another classical Nintendo move, as far as I'm concerned. This is just one of those weird design choices that they like to implement in their systems. I mean, I have a cell phone, and personally, I'm not too concerned with it. But the other issues that you mentioned, like, hey, how's the audio going to be streamed? How am I going to be able to listen to it and whatnot? Those are things that I'd really, really want answers from. Probably soon, because I mean, I for one want to stream since I have a capable computer now, and hey, what the hell am I gonna do with this? How the hell is this gonna work? I mean, I'd much prefer it to be streamed through my computer through an app or something as opposed to my cell phone of all things, but that's Nintendo for you.
Yeah, and I'd imagine it's a bit of a cost saving as well. You don't have to put headphones in. You'd have to put headphone jack in the Joy-Con and the Pro controller. Just you'd have to have more integrated into the system. I guess this way too, theoretically, for any future handheld or other systems, or for they could even, I guess, like I said, theoretically do it for like the 3DS. You could use the same voice chat for all of that. So I mean, that's cool. That's one benefit of it, but
it's just a case of wait and see for now, since
right,
our context is quite limited.
Pretty much.
That's really the case with basically everything right now that we're talking about.
Yeah, it's just like we're putting everything on the back burner because we don't know what Nintendo's going to do. They're just kind of a company that, I don't know, they overcomplicate some things, which makes it, I mean, they could have at least added a headphone jack to the Pro controller. I personally wouldn't have minded that. I mean, it could have drove up the price just a little bit, but if
I just still want those analog triggers on that Pro controller. That Pro controller just has so much technology and looks like just like the best controller. Yeah. Like one of the best controllers ever made, but it doesn't have those analog triggers, which I know this is a completely different conversation, but still hurts my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I will say though that I hope that Nintendo allows for third-party manufacturers to make their own, like say USB controller maybe, or some sort of licensed alternative, because I would like one to have a headphone jack built in, so that way I can buy that one instead of the official Nintendo one. You know, and I mean, at least have that option open, so that way we aren't doomed to being tethered to our mobile phones.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, a good chunk of people do, but you can't make this a universal option by saying, oh, everyone has a mobile phone. Well, hey, select people have Nintendo systems but don't have Nintendo phones. Think about it.
Truth be told, I am one of the few people that don't even have a smartphone. I have an old flip phone, and I don't think that's going to work worth a crap toward the Switch, so...
Heresy.
Yeah. So. I just want them to come out with a Joy-Con with an actual D-pad on it, because I'd rather have that than be able to play two players with people. Sorry. That's the sort of person I am.
Yeah, I mean...
That's fine.
I mean, Ash Paulson, in his recent video when he went to play Shovel Knight, said it's better to play Shovel Knight with the Pro controller than,
Well, yeah, any platformer is going to be better with an actual D-pad. And if I'm going to use this as a portable, but once again, not the point of this.
Yeah,
not the point of this conversation. Yeah, anything else we really wanted to bring up here? Anything?
That Eurogamer rumor?
Yeah, we kind of brought that up a little bit earlier, but I guess we can kind of go more in depth on it. Basically, it's Nintendo again saying that, they want us to upgrade our virtual console games. And it's like, okay, I mean, you've done this in the past. You've made a unified account system. That's good on you, but I mean, you're making us upgrade for games we played up to million times. That's kind of...
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because it's going to be $1 or $2, whatever again, and it's going to suck. But this time we have the unified system, so this should be the last time.
Hopefully, I mean, of course, there's always the outcome of the Switch tanks, and they release a 3DS successor that doesn't even have the unified account system. Like, they just scrap everything.
Trick me 4 times, Nintendo. Shame on you.
So, I mean, of course, the success of the Switch, we don't know yet, but I think that if the Switch is successful, then they'll make the online service hopefully they'll work out some of the kinks and all that, and I'm hoping that Nintendo has somewhat learned. I mean, of course, with the BC transfer rumor, I mean, this is going to be the last time, and I'm hoping after that they're just kind of, going with the flow and not changing anything dramatic. Just make a good, clean online service for everyone to use.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Anyways, you guys have any final thoughts, or?
I think my final thoughts are just that everything's to be determined right now. I mean, it's there's still so much we don't know. And, I want to say that just because what we see when the online launches might not even be what it looks like a year from now, because those sort of things are always evolving as well. Mm-hmm. So, just wait and see. Hoping for the best. I think the price is good. I mean, I'm glad we're getting something for it, but I think they need to reevaluate how they're doing the virtual console giveaways. But once again, we'll see that as well. And, hopefully I can play Smash online with no lag.
That'd be nice. Liquid, any final thoughts?
Well, as far as that Eurogamer rumor goes, if Melee isn't playable online, people are going to rage,
Oh, yeah. But there's no... Okay, so now we go back. There's no analog trigger, so how are you going to do GameCube Virtual Console?
I mean, they said that they were thinking about supporting the GameCube controller adapter, but everyone doesn't have those.
That's not even the issue. The issue is that Nintendo's focus on the Switch has been that you can play this any way you want. It's customizable. It's your system. You can play it tabletop mode. You can play it handheld mode. You can play it on the TV. Yeah, GameCube works for TV and maybe even for tabletop mode. It does not work for handheld mode. And they're not going to make games available that you cannot play in one of the main modes. Yeah. They're not.
Yeah.
Well, and so that's why that rumor kind of strikes me as a little false. I mean, what I guess they could do, and I think I've said this before, is if they actually made GameCube Joy-Cons. But those would be expensive because Joy-Cons are expensive. What would be kind of nice about that, though, is and you know what? Once again, a very non-Nintendo thing to do. But if they said, hey, here's GameCube Joy-Cons for $80, and it comes with your choice of 2 GameCube Virtual Console games, I'd buy it. I'd buy it in a heartbeat.
That'd actually be a pretty good bundle. But what I was thinking was, you guys probably have heard of Nintendo, a user-made GameCube sandbox mode that plays on Wii and Wii U. You can use wireless controllers, and they've kind of figured out a clever way for the analog for the digital controllers. So basically, the GameCube only has one shoulder button that is a digital shoulder button, which is the Z button. Well, if you use the L button, you can actually change it so that way the back triggers are half press, and then when you let go of the L button, it's full press again. So it's kind of a weird button combination. It kind of emulates the GameCube triggers half press and then full press. It would be a weird way of implementing it, but it's kind of shows that they could still make GameCube games available with digital triggers. But I will say that it's Nintendo, and they probably won't implement that kind of method. So
yeah, I don't know. It just that thought kind of makes me a little worried about the prospect of a GameCube Virtual Console, which would be great. Like to have Luigi's Mansion, Sunshine, Melee, obviously, just these sort of games on the go for the first time would be awesome. Metroid Prime, although I'm sure we could always get a Wii version of that too. I could see them re-releasing the trilogy or making that Virtual Console available again. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. There's a lot that can go right or wrong with the Virtual Console. And honestly, we know absolutely nothing about the Virtual Console, which is a big part of the.
Yeah. It makes me think though the service will probably launch when the paid online service comes into effect. I think they're gonna save all their guns for that just to entice people. So,
we'll see. I'm fully expecting some sort of direct in the next month. So we'll see what happens.
Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages, including our Facebook and Twitter accounts. Be sure to also support us on Patreon if you want to receive exclusive perks. Everything will be linked in the description below, including our own personal Twitter accounts and the Source Gaming Twitter account. We hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.